All right, welcome to the week 2 coding code along activity, and we're going to be doing some areas with shapes. As always, remember to, if you get confused or something gets a little too wordy for you, don't hesitate to pause it, roll back a couple seconds, and start and make sure you're coding along. That's hence the name of this, so that you can follow along and learn as we go. All right, let's switch over the code here real quick. There we go. All right, so let's first make our file here, Python, and we'll hit Control S to save. That should pop up the dialog here, and we'll name this Week02 Code Along. Save that the same place we saved our first one. There we go. Let's collapse that. Okay, so the purpose of this one is to help us work with variables. So we're going to use some different variables than we used in the first code along in the first program, where we work just with strings. This one we're going to work with some number values. So as it says here, Python can be used to calculate values for data analysis and complex mathematical and scientific problems. In this activity, you'll practice using variables and expressions for straightforward math calculations. The purpose of the assignment is to help you become more comfortable with using variables to accomplish a problem, not to focus on the actual math at hand. So this one, we want to write a program to compute the areas of 3 different shapes: a square, a rectangle, and a circle. So to prompt for we need to prompt for the necessary information and display the area as follows. Square, the area is the length of the side squared. So let's pull up Paint here. So we have our square, which looks like this, more or less. So the area is, since it's a square, all these sides are going to be the same. So if we just multiply those together or square them, we'll have the area inside there. All right. So for a rectangle, let's erase all this, or just hit Control N for a new one. Don't save. For a rectangle, the area is the length multiplied by the width. So in a rectangle, oops. So this is the length, and this is the width. So we multiply those together, and then we get the area. So width times length equals area. Okay. Then for a circle, the area is pi, approximately 3.14, multiplied by the radius squared. So in a circle, we have the radius, which is the distance from the center to the edge. That's the radius. So radius times pi squared equals the area. Okay. Just a brief overview there. Okay. So we need it to look like this. What is the length of the side of the square? What is the length of the side of the rectangle? So we prompt for all these things, and then we do that. All right. So using the formula we did in the first code along here, let's actually grab this so we know what we're working with, just so we have some comments up here up top, and we'll comment that out. That's Control /, and I don't like my code to wrap too much, so I'm going to put this here, just put an enter here just so everything's on the same. All right, that way it all fits in our view here. Okay, so write a program to compute the areas of these different things. So first thing we do, remember, is we initialize. And I always spell initialize wrong, so don't worry about that. So what do we need to get? We need to get some information. So let's do one step at a time. Let's just work with the square. So what do we need to get from the square? Since it only has it has 4 sides and they're all the same length. That's what a square is. We need, we'll do square size equals 0. We'll initialize that as nothing. Then for number 2 here, what do? We get the values. So to get the values, we'll do square size equals input, and we'll copy this right from here. What is the size of the square? And make sure we add that extra space there so it'll look nice. All right, looks good. And I'm going to do this too. Like I said, I don't like, I always turn on word wrap. Most developers don't, but I don't like having this horizontal scroll bar. It just bothers me. So you don't have to do that if you don't want. I just prefer to do it that way. And this is technically all the same line. It's just displaying it all as on different lines when we turn on that word wrap. Okay, number 3. What do we do in number 3? This is not something we didn't do in the last code along. This is we calculate. All right, let's save that for a minute, and then let's just do output. So print, and then what I have here, we'll just copy this. The area of the square is in quotes, and then we will print out. Again, I will always do this. Usually, I will concatenate square. So we need to initialize another variable up here, area of square, and that's going to be 0 as well. So we'll do that calculation here in a minute. Let's make sure, before we do that, let's make sure that we're getting the right things back. All right, so that's not what we want down here at the end of our program, but we're just making sure we're doing things right the first here. So let's run this program. So before we run it, we always say, what do I expect it to do? We expect it to ask for a variable that is the length of the length of the side of a square, and then it should print that out back right now. So let's make sure that it does that. Length of the side of the square, we'll put 5, and we should get back 5. All right, perfect. That's great. Now, what if, for example, the user makes a mistake and says 5? He just spells out 5. Well, right now that's fine because we're just getting it and printing it back out. But if we have to do math on that, and we will because that's part of the calculate here, we want to make sure that this is an integer, because you can't do math on a string because you don't know how to multiply or square FIVE. There's no way that Python knows how to do that. So what we'll do is what's called casting. We'll cast this variable as an integer like that. So we wrapped all this input in there, and it may be wrong, and that's fine. We'll check that in a minute here. We'll run this, and then we'll try that 5 again and see what happens. Oh, invalid literal for an int with base 10. All right, that's what we want. So that error here is saying you're trying to make this string FIVE into an integer, which you can't do. So if we don't put in the string this time, let's see if we get an error. Aha. So what's the problem here? We're getting a different error. You can only concatenate string, not an integer. Oh, okay. So this is one of the problems with doing it with this concatenation here. So either what we can do is we can, let's see, square size, string, nope, to string. That's not Python. I don't work in Python, so I don't think about converting it back. So string and then square size. Let's see if that works. See if we get the same error here. We'll put 6 this time. All right, so what that's doing is it's casting this integer as a string. So it's basically making 6 into 6, the string. So that may not sound like it makes sense, but it's like the difference between this and this. 6 the number and 6 the string. All right. Here we go. Okay, so, but we're not going to be working with that one, so we'll just do area square right now. And that, if we run it now, it'll print out 0 because we haven't done any calculations. So let's get to the calculation here. So, remember the formulas they gave us here? It says the area of the length is the sides squared. So, that's basically area of square equals square size. And to do square, we can either do times square size. That's squaring, that's timesing it by itself. So if we do, let's run this again. Oh, kill that terminal. Run it again. What is the size of the square? So if we do 5, 5 times 5 is 25. So we should get back 25. Aha. Can only concatenate string, not int. Oh, we forgot to wrap this again. So double click on this. I'll do parentheses around it, string. So again, if you're not concatenating like this, if you're just printing it out like this, doing the format method, area of square. And I did single quotes there. No, you can use double quotes and you can use single quotes. Python doesn't care. Both work in these situations. So this one we cast it as a string. This one we're doing just the format method. So we do 5. We should see 25 twice. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to stick with my way of doing it. I prefer the concatenation. Just makes more sense, and that's how I've learned it in other languages. You're welcome to use format if you'd like. That's no problem at all. Okay, so we've got the square done. So we're 1/3 of the way done. Okay, so let's move on to rectangle. So rectangle width equals 0. Is that all we need for rectangle? So let's check. The area of the length is multiplied the width. So we need both length and width, both of them. So let's initialize that one. Rectangle height. I always misspell height. Oh, we'll just do length. Okay. So initialize both of those. Now we need to get both of those. So this program, we're doing both getting the values, calculating, and printing all in one. So this one's kind of different. If I were writing this program, I'd make sure that we get the square stuff, calculate it, print it, or get it all this information beforehand. This is kind of convoluting all those things together. So we're going to kind of get out of my formula for just this program here. I wouldn't usually do it this way. And when we talk about functions, we will we'll discuss this a little bit more further, because basically you don't want your program to do more than one thing. Your function to do more than one thing. So let's get the length. We want length first. Okay. So copy this and just change this from width to length. And then we'll get this text here. What is the length the rectangle. And then we'll copy this text over here, making sure we get that space at the end so it looks nice. Was length. Did we get that twice? We did. What is the width? W-I-D-T-H. What is the length? What is the width? Okay. Then we calculate. We're going to move this down here. Actually, we'll move this up here just so we match what's going on there. You know, we'll move this up there as well. Again, this is not how I would do it, but that's fine. That's what the assignment asked for, so that's what we'll do here. Come on, get out of there. All right. So we've done quite a few things. Let's make sure we're still working here. So the length of the side of the square, we should get, if we put in 4, we should get 16, because 4 times 4 is 16. And now it's going to ask us for the length of the rectangle, which is 3. And the width is 4. All right. We didn't put in the other parts there, so we'll do those real quick. So just for the sake of this, I'm going to take out these comments here. And so we got the length, we got the width, and now we need to do the calculation for the area of the rectangle. So as we talked about before, and as it says here, the area is the length multiplied by the width. Simple enough. So area of, and we don't have that rectangle. Let's initialize it first. So the area of the rectangle again is the rectangle length times, and that's shift 8 for the multiplication, rectangle width. All right, so let's run this again and use the same variables we used before. Oh, let's put our print in there. The area of the rectangle is int. Got our space in there, plus, and then we're going to cast it as a string, and it will be area of rectangle. Okay, so we should get, we'll do 3 this time for the square, so 3 times 3 is 9. 9, awesome. The length will do 4, and the width will do 3. And that gives us 12, because 4 times 3 is 12. Perfect. Looks like we're doing great there. Okay, let's move on to the circle. Let's initialize first. Area of circle, 0. Down here, getting the value is in, oh, we got to initialize first. Circle radius equals 0. So now circle radius equals int input, and we'll grab this text here. Right. Then we do our calculations here. So let's review this. The area of pi is approximately 3.14 multiplied by the radius squared. So circle radius, we do our calculation, area of circle equals pi. So what we can do is we can set up something we'll call another variable, but we won't use it as a variable because we're not going to change it. So this is technically a constant, and we'll set that at 3.14. All right. Now we can access pi here. That's our constant. We're using as a variable though. pi times the radius squared. So circle radius squared. Okay. And then we'll want to print that out. Print the area of the circle is oops. Hit a button. Oh, we don't want that. A string and area of circle. Okay. So let's just pull up a window here and we do pi area of circle. Just make sure that we have the right, we expect the right thing with a radius of 5. All right, so we'll pull this up here. Do 5. Calculate area. 78.5389 in here, and then Bing was telling us this before. Area of circle with radius 5. Or units. So what does that mean? Okay, thank you. Let's go back to that. Radius is 5. The area is 78.54. All right. So we know what to expect here. So let's run it. Close this. All right, square, we'll do 2 this time. So 2 times 2 is 4. Perfect. Rectangle 1 and 11. So 1 times 11 is 11. And what is the radius of the circle? And we put in 5. We should get 78.54. Uh-oh. That's not right. What did we do wrong? So in math, there's a thing called order of operations. So order of operations is it should do this first, but we're not putting it in correctly. So I forget how to do that. Circle. Let's see if we can do this in Python. If that'll work. So instead of doing times the circle, what did we have here? Did I have that wrong? Oh, I did. It's not times 2, it's times circle radius. Squared is by that. So I think we still might have a problem here because it'll times pi by circle radius by that. So instead, we want to do by powers. The order of operations in math is you do powers first. So this probably won't give us what we want again, but let's make sure. Area of the square, we'll do 6 this time. 6 times 6 is 36. Area of the rectangle, 2 times 9 is 18. 18. Radius of the circle, let's do 5 again since we have that popped up here. 78.5, that worked. All right. Wasn't the order of operations. 78.54. Why not? Because we only have pi to 3.14. Now pi goes out indefinitely. So maybe we'll get more precision. Maybe we'll get that 0.4 if we add that 15. 3.415 are the first 4 digits of pi. Save that and run this again. Side the square, 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 5 is 40. Radius of the circle, we'll do 5 again. Ooh. So we got more precision there. So that is going to be important for your assignment this week. In that you'll only want 2 levels of precision. So you only want to take out the decimal to 2 places. And there's ways to do that, by formatting. Again, we can't do that when we're doing this concatenation, but if in formatting, you can tell it how many digits it'll go out to, and there should be instructions about how to do that in the lesson itself. So now that we've done this, let's test out some other stuff here. Let's say we have a radius of 11, 380.1. Let's check that out. Side of the square, let's do 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Length of rectangle, 5 times 9 is 45. Cool. Radius of circle, 11. So we should see 380.1. Pretty much. All right, so there's some other things that we can do here. So there's some libraries in Python. Port math. All right. So say we didn't want to use this variable anymore. We wanted to use the actual pi. There we go. So we've imported this library here called math, and that gives us access to some cool stuff. And instead of doing it this way, let's do this. See if this works. So we'll switch this to 6. What do we get? 113.1. Okay. Now let's check to see if that works. Square 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 4 is 24. Radius circle, and we did 6. So 6. We should see 113.1. Oh, we messed up here. For float and int. Okay, unsupported type for. Okay. So, how? Got it? Come to. Base is circle, radius, squared. Okay, so that's a function here. Let's see if that works. I'm not sure if this will work for us. 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Radius of circle, 6. Aha. So just like we did with our strings last week, here's another function here. This is the power function. So instead of like we showed here in our paint, when we raise something to the power or essentially times it by itself, we can do the same thing. And that may not seem like it'll come in handy for this assignment, but if we need to raise something to the 15th power instead of writing circular radius times circular radius 15 times, we can just put it in this power function like that. So that gives us a little bit more power here. So just so that if you've watched this far, I'll give you a little hint for the assignment. Print the area of the circle is, and I'm just going to copy that text because I know I'll fat finger something. And we're doing the format method. So F, and then curly braces, area of circle. And from here, we can say to F, right? I always forget this. Let's see if that likes that. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. Radius of the circle is 6. Aha. Oh, nope. That didn't work. Our formatting here. 2. Format character count. There it is. I forgot the. Yeah, I knew it should be in there. Okay, we'll move this inside, and then we have to use the colon there. So this says we take that to 2 decimal places. See if I did that right. Oops. Don't need to assert. 4 times 4 is 16. 6 times 8 is 48. All right, so the circle, oh, we want to do 6 still. Aha. So this formatting here tells it to take it to 2 decimal places, and that will come in handy for your assignment this week. There you go. And I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and have a great week.